When two minds driven by darkness come together, the result can be a deadly and disturbing partnership. Throughout history, certain duos have transcended the bounds of ordinary criminality, forming sinister alliances that amplify their capacity for chaos and destruction. In this documentary, we dive into 7 chilling true crime cases where these deadly duos wreaked havoc, leaving behind trails of fear and devastation. From their twisted bonds to the calculated acts they carried out together, these cases reveal the unsettling power of collaboration in the darkest corners of human nature. The Moors murderers, Ian Brady and Myra Hindley. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley's partnership is one of the most infamous in British criminal history, with their relationship setting the stage for a series of murders that would shock the nation. Brady, a troubled youth with a dark fascination for power and control, met Hindley in 1961 while working at a chemical distribution company in Manchester. Hindley, captivated by Brady's intellect and rebellious nature, quickly fell under his spell. Together, they shared an affinity for violent literature and extremist ideologies, bonding over a twisted vision of superiority that fueled their growing depravity. Their relationship, deeply codependent and obsessive, created the perfect storm for the horrific crimes they would later commit on the moors of northern England. Their crimes were characterized by an alarming level of cunning and deception, as they exploited their charm and trustworthiness to lure unsuspecting victims, most of whom were children. Brady and Hindley would often pose as a harmless couple, sometimes even involving Hindley's young niece to further allay any suspicions. Once they had gained their victims' trust, the pair would abduct them, leading them to remote areas of the Saddleworth Moors where unspeakable acts took place. Their ability to mask their true intentions allowed them to carry out their heinous acts undetected for years. The brutality of their crimes was exacerbated by the toxic nature of their relationship, with Hindley serving as a willing accomplice to Brady's sadistic fantasies. Their capture came in 1965, following a tip-off from a close associate, leading to a highly publicized trial that transfixed the British media. The shock and horror felt by the public were unparalleled, and the legacy of their crimes continues to haunt the country to this day. The Hillside Stranglers, Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono. Operating in the late 1970s, Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono brought terror to Los Angeles with a string of murders that would later be dubbed the Hillside Stranglers. The cousins began their deadly spree in 1977, targeting young women in the city, using their status as a family unit to appear non-threatening. Their method of selecting victims was chillingly calculated. Bianchi and Buono often cruised through the city's streets, preying on vulnerable women, particularly those who were alone. What set them apart was their use of authority as a weapon. The duo posed as undercover police officers, convincing their victims they were being detained for questioning before abducting them. This deceptive tactic allowed them to gain control without suspicion, making their attacks all the more insidious. The investigation into the Hillside Stranglers was a complex, multi-jurisdictional effort due to the duo's cunning ability to avoid detection. Their killings were methodical, with the bodies of their victims being left in hilly areas around Los Angeles, sparking fear throughout the city. Despite the meticulousness of their crimes, the pair eventually made crucial mistakes that led to their downfall. Bianchi's arrogance and desire for greater recognition drove him to kill on his own, leading to his capture in 1979. Once in custody, his cooperation revealed Buono's involvement, and the full extent of their partnership was uncovered. The legal proceedings were among the most closely followed cases of the time, and the trial exposed the depth of manipulation and cruelty between the two. The impact of their crimes left an indelible scar on the Los Angeles community, instilling a deep sense of fear and mistrust that lingered long after their sentencing. The Lonely Hearts Killers, Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck. Raymond Fernandez and Martha Beck's twisted partnership began with a Lonely Hearts ad, a popular avenue for post-war singles seeking connection. Fernandez, a suave and manipulative con artist, used these ads to charm and defraud women, promising love while emptying their bank accounts. Beck, a nurse struggling with insecurities and rejection, fell under his spell after answering one of his ads. Their connection quickly evolved into a toxic bond fueled by obsession and a shared amorality. Together, they launched a killing spree that targeted vulnerable women, often widows or divorcees, who were drawn in by Fernandez's charisma and false promises. With Beck posing as Fernandez's sister, the duo created a facade of normalcy to disarm their victims. Their crimes not only revealed a pattern of exploitation, but also showcased how their symbiotic relationship enabled them to operate without hesitation. The Lonely Hearts Killers relied heavily on psychological manipulation to gain their victims' trust. Fernandez's ability to present himself as a romantic savior masked his sinister intentions, while Beck played the role of an accommodating confidant to further disarm their prey. Their approach was meticulous. They would study each victim's vulnerabilities, exploit emotional loneliness, and execute their plans with chilling precision. The toxic dependence between Fernandez and Beck only deepened as their crimes escalated. Fernandez provided the charisma and confidence, while Beck's possessiveness and willingness to do anything for his approval made her an active accomplice. This dynamic created a deadly feedback loop where their shared sociopathy fueled increasingly heinous acts. Their capture in 1949 brought their spree to an end, and their trial captivated the nation. Sensationalized by the media, the case painted them as archetypes of love gone awry, leaving a legacy of fascination with their twisted romance. The DC Snipers, John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo. In October 2002, terror gripped the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area as a series of seemingly random sniper attacks left 10 people dead and 3 wounded. The perpetrators, John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo, transformed everyday activities, like pumping gas or shopping, into moments of mortal fear. The attacks were meticulously orchestrated. Victims were shot from a modified car designed to shield the shooters from view, adding an eerie level of sophistication to the crimes. The randomness of the attacks paralyzed the region as people struggled to understand the motives behind the carnage. Schools went on lockdown, outdoor activities ceased, and fear spread beyond DC into neighboring states. The sniper attacks weren't just a string of murders. They were psychological warfare that disrupted the daily lives of thousands and drew nationwide attention. The bond between Muhammad and Malvo was a key driver of their spree. Muhammad, a Gulf War veteran with a troubled past, manipulated Malvo, a vulnerable teenager searching for guidance, into becoming a loyal accomplice. Muhammad's influence over Malvo was both paternal and authoritarian, shaping him into a weapon for his own warped objectives. The pair's strategic planning, including careful site selection and the use of cryptic messages, showcased a calculated approach designed to prolong fear and evade capture. However, their reign of terror ended after a massive nationwide manhunt and a series of pivotal breaks in the case. A phone tip about their vehicle and the discovery of key evidence tied them to previous crimes. Their arrest in a rest area outside Maryland marked the conclusion of a chilling chapter in American crime history, though the psychological scars left on the victims' families and communities remain indelible. The Ken and Barbie Killers, Karla Homolka and Paul Bernardo. Karla Homolka and Paul Bernardo presented themselves as the quintessential golden couple, attractive, successful, and deeply in love. To outsiders, they were the embodiment of perfection, earning them the nickname the Ken and Barbie Killers. However, beneath their polished exterior lay a sinister reality. Bernardo, already known as the Scarborough Rapist for a string of sexual assaults in Toronto, found a willing accomplice in Homolka. Together, they cultivated a relationship marked by a shared darkness and a lust for control and violence. Their partnership became a facade to mask a horrifying spree of predatory crimes that targeted young women, including Homolka's own teenage sister, in an act that shocked even seasoned investigators. Their ability to maintain such a stark dichotomy between public perception and their private depravity added to the chilling nature of their case. The couple's crimes were marked by calculated methods of luring, manipulating, and ultimately abusing their victims. They employed their charm and good looks to disarm their targets, often recording their heinous acts as trophies of their dominance. However, the partnership began to unravel under the weight of their crimes and the psychological toll of their relationship. When police zeroed in on the pair, Homolka struck a controversial plea bargain, agreeing to testify against Bernardo in exchange for a reduced sentence. This deal, coupled with her portrayal as a manipulated victim of Bernardo's control, sparked outrage when videotapes emerged revealing her active and willing participation in the crimes. The media frenzy around the case, combined with the perceived leniency of Homolka's sentence, ignited a debate about justice that persists to this day. Bernardo remains imprisoned, while Homolka, after serving her sentence, lives a life of relative anonymity, an unsettling reality that continues to divide public opinion. The Sunset Strip Killers, Doug Clark and Carol Bundy. Doug Clark and Carol M. Bundy's meeting was the catalyst for a deadly alliance fueled by shared fantasies and a thirst for violence. The pair bonded over dark desires and quickly escalated their relationship into a partnership of unimaginable depravity. Clark, a narcissistic and manipulative man, found in Bundy a devoted and submissive accomplice willing to help him enact his most twisted fantasies. Together, they prowled Los Angeles' Sunset Strip in the early 1980s, targeting vulnerable sex workers and other women who fell victim to their gruesome methods. Their ability to work as a team, with Bundy luring victims and Clark carrying out the killings, created a dynamic that enabled their spree to persist longer than it might have otherwise. Their reign of terror came to an end due to Bundy's own unraveling. Struggling with guilt and paranoia, Bundy began confessing details of their crimes to acquaintances, leading to critical slip-ups that attracted law enforcement's attention. A shocking moment came when Bundy revealed Clark's actions to a co-worker and later handed over physical evidence, including murder weapons. Her cooperation was pivotal in securing their convictions, though it was clear that she was as deeply involved as Clark. During their trial, the courtroom was captivated by the toxic relationship between the two, with each attempting to shift blame onto the other. Clark was sentenced to death, while Bundy received a life sentence, dying in prison years later. The Sunset Strip Killers case remains infamous in true crime lore, a grim reminder of how shared psychopathy can fuel unimaginable acts of violence. Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow are remembered as one of America's most infamous outlaw duos. Their story is often romanticized as a tale of rebellious lovers defying authority during the Great Depression. While popular culture has painted them as glamorous anti-heroes, the reality of their lives was far darker. Their crime spree began with petty thefts, but escalated to bank robberies and violent confrontations that left a trail of fear across multiple states. Their notoriety was fueled by their daring escapes, Bonnie's unexpected role as a gun-wielding accomplice, and staged photographs that portrayed them as larger-than-life figures. Yet their lives on the run were marked by desperation, danger, and a constant need to evade capture, living in stolen cars and makeshift hideouts while law enforcement closed in. Their downfall came after a relentless manhunt spurred by the killings of law enforcement officers during their confrontations. Betrayed by an associate, the couple met their end in a dramatic ambush near Gibbsland, Louisiana in 1934, when law enforcement riddled their vehicle with bullets. Their violent deaths shocked the nation but also cemented their legacy, transforming them into enduring symbols of rebellion. Over time, Bonnie and Clyde's story has been immortalized in books, films, and music, often blurring the lines between historical fact and myth. While some view them as tragic figures of a desperate era, others regard them as ruthless criminals whose actions left a wake of devastation. Their legacy remains a fascinating chapter in true crime history, reflecting the allure and danger of living outside the law. The stories of these deadly duos remind us how dangerous the wrong partnership can be, where shared depravity fuels crimes more horrifying than either individual could commit alone. Their chilling legacies stand as a testament to the destructive potential of such alliances, leaving victims, families, and entire communities in their wake. As we close the book on these haunting cases, we are left grappling with an unsettling truth. Sometimes the greatest danger lies not in one person's darkness, but in the sinister synergy of two.